Hello students, welcome to my classroom. In this video, we are going to talk about the recursive formula. So I will go ahead and write down the topic for you, and it's the recursive formula. And we will take care of recursive formula in case of arithmetic sequences. So basically, how recursive formula is written is it actually helps you figure out the next term whenever you know the previous term. So the recursive formula is given as an equals a of n minus 1 plus the common difference d. So for example, this nth term will mean that the number of the term you're looking for. N minus 1 will be the term you're talking about the previous term before that. So what happens is the terminology is a little different. So what happens is that you get confused. So let us take a look at a sequence. But before that, we will also write down what everything means, or in the definition part of it. So here an will be the nth term. A of n minus 1 is the previous term. D is the common difference. That means the number that you add or subtract to get the next number. Now, let us take a look at our a very simple arithmetic sequence I will take. We'll have 2, and then if I add a 3 to it, I'll get a 5. I add another 3 numbers, I get an 8. I add the next 3 numbers, I get 11, so on and so forth. The 3 dots means that we can move on after this. So now for this question, if we need to actually write down the recursive formula, how we need to write it down is that I will get my nth term. My nth term will be, I will have my previous term. Now what number did I add? I always added 3. Now, in case we need to find out if this recursive formula will work for any other new terms or not, always remember, students, that this is going to be called A1 because this is the first term. So the number of the term comes as the bottom number here. This is A2, A3, A4. So now if I need to check if this recursive formula will work or not, what I do is the A4th term will be A of n minus 1, which is 4 minus 1 because n is 4. 4 minus 1 plus 3. Now, what is the meaning of 4 minus 1 is 3 plus 3. What is the third term? 8. That means I added the previous term was 8. I added a 3 to it to get 11. So basically what recursive formula does is it always gives you how to find the next term when the previous term is used, or you can use the previous term. So on the next page, let us take care of this being gone. On this page, we are going to do a couple of more examples, but I also wanted to give you a little bit of stepwise thing, what steps you'll follow in order to write the recursive formula. So the first step that you will follow is whether you will decide whether the given sequence is arithmetic or geometric. That's a very important step, because once you know if it's arithmetic or geometric, you can know, okay, if it's arithmetic, you're either adding or subtracting the same number. And if it's geometric, you're either multiplying or dividing by the same number. So that's the first thing you'll do, you'll identify. The next step will be you will find that number. You will find D, which is your common difference. and you will find R, which is your common ratio. And then you write the recursive formula. Now, students, with this, I also wanted to make it once again clear to you that there are two types of formulas that you'll always see in arithmetic or geometric sequences. One is called the recursive, and the other formula is called explicit. Now, anytime a sequence is given to you, for arithmetic sequences, you use explicit formula in order to calculate an explicit term when you are not given with the previous term. Basically, that is what explicit is. But remember, the first term will always be given to you in the explicit formula. Now, recursive formula is that it always gives you the previous term and it helps you find the next term. So the nth term will always come by. This is your previous term, remember. Minus 1 will be the term before that. And then you add the d, the value of d to it, and you get your next term. So always remember these are the formulas for your two different formulas that you can apply on questions. And let us say they tell you to find A32. Now A32 can be easily found once you know the first term and once you know the common difference d. Now here, you can only find the 32nd term if you know the 31st term. So I hope it's making some sense here. All right, let us let us see this fly away as well. And now on this page, we will talk about this arithmetic sequence where we have 2, 10, 18, 26, 34. And we'll do both of the formulas just in case, things are clear to you. So to save time, I'll write recursive here and I will write the explicit formula E here. So for recursive formula, my formula will be, first of all, let us decide whether it's arithmetic sequence or geometric. So when we see the numbers, what is happening here? I'm actually adding an 8, right? Now let's check for the next one. Am I adding 8? Yes. It has to be the same number every time. Adding 8, adding 8. So it looks like it's an arithmetic sequence. And now I have to write down the formula. So for the formula, I will say, well, this formula should work well for finding any term as long as I know the previous term. So I'll have the previous term, that is n minus 1. And what number am I always adding to it? I'm always adding the previous number to it. The d to it. So the d is 8. And that should be my recursive formula. For explicit formula, we will write down, in order to find any term, an equals a1, which is going to be 2 in this case, plus n minus 1 times, what is d? 8. So now let us start plugging into the formula. A1, which is 2, plus n minus 1. So we don't know what n is or which term they are asking us. And then what is d? 8. We are always adding 8 to get the next term. All right. Now, at times they write this in a different way. Also, they try to solve the explicit formula a little bit more because this 8 is getting distributed, so they tend to do this minus 8. And then an equals a negative 8 plus 2. One is negative, other is positive. You subtract and you keep the sign of the bigger number. And this is still your explicit formula. Remember, it is just simplified a little bit more in order to find any number of terms. So here if they tell you, well, find term number 100. So then your n becomes 100 and the 100th term will be negative 6 plus 8 times 100. Why did I take 100? Because we are looking at the 100th term. So n is the 100th term. Whereas over here, we really need to know our 99th term in order to find the 100th term. All right, so hope that makes some sense to you. And let us do one different type of question where the sequence is not given to you, but they're trying to write it in words and maybe trying to confuse you. So I'll do that one as my last problem in this video. Okay, so we'll write down find the fourth term when the recursive formula is given as nth term equals the previous term plus 40. And whenever they give you a recursive formula, they'll always give you the first term as well. And the first term is 2000. So it's pretty easy over here if you can take a look at this. Basically, what we can see is that I add 40 to my previous term. This is my previous term to get my next term. So we will start with 2000. That's our A1, right? And they're asking us the fourth term. So our second term is going to be 2040. I added 40 to it. Third term will be 2080. And the fourth term that they are asking us is, so remember, whenever the exact previous term is not given to you, you can always set it up like this and find the next term. And you can have your answer. So hope that makes sense. Because there's space available, maybe I'll do one more. I know you're not happy about it. But here they are saying find the first 5 terms. And the recursive formula is where the first term is -10. So let's try solving this one. Now always, take a look at this. That tells us that they're always adding 3 to get the next term. And they're asking us all the 5 terms. So let us use the first term. Second term will be, what I do to the previous term, I add 3 to it. So -10 plus 3, which is -7. Remember, one is negative, other is positive. We always subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, grande number. Well, the third term will be -7, the previous term, add 3 to it, which is -4. Fourth term here is going to be -4, the previous term here, plus 3, which is -1. And the fifth term is going to be the previous term plus 3. So I have my terms listed out here, and I can highlight my answers here. They were asking me 5 terms, and these are the 5 terms. So students, in this video, we talked about the recursive formula and the difference of recursive formula as in sense to arithmetic sequences only. And we talked about the recursive formula always helps you with the number if the previous term is given to you or the common difference is given to you, you can always calculate the terms required. Whereas explicit formula, they can give you any term out of the blues, maybe, the 100th term, and you can just easily plug it in and get the answer. So hope it was somewhat clear to you. I'll make more videos on this concept, and hopefully these things will be crystal clear to you for the next upcoming test. I hope you have a good one. Thank you for all the views, and I'm making this nice bell for you here so that you can like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.